Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming to watch. I've got you guys an update on a very big winter storm system that is going to move across the central and eastern United States. That's going to dump inches of snowfall, and somebody may end up with a foot or more of snow. I've also got you guys an update on a big severe weather event that's linked with that same storm system that will be bringing some strong two severe storms in the southeastern United States. All right, so thank y'all for joining me here on this Friday night. All right, the reason I'm dressed up because I actually just did come home from a dance. All right, but we got a lot to talk about in this video. It's gonna be a big one. All right, so stay tuned. We've got more updates on the way because we've got a big winter storm that we got to talk about. We've been tracking the models and they picked up on one storm signal, and here we are now starting to get into the details, start to try and forecast this thing. All right, so looking at your current radar, as always, we're starting out here. You can see that we got nothing much going on other than a few thunderstorms that have been moving across the southeast. This is that first early run of moisture that's actually going to be developing that system, which will be developing with the help of this northwestern energy. All right, into that region that I circled. All right, and then really, I mean, you do have a small clipper system that may be trying to come down here through the Great Lakes region, and that is bringing some snowfall over Lake Superior and over portions of northern Minnesota. All right, but yeah, that's gonna be it for the most part. So we'll move over here to our alerts. You can see got nothing much going on, but this is here. This is the main show, guys. You can start to see that we have winter storm watches at least for portions of northern Texas. This goes into the panhandle of Oklahoma and portions of western Oklahoma. Then in that pink shade, you've got winter storm warnings. This is where we are expecting a major winter storm to impact these areas, which is northeastern New Mexico, and then one county, the farthest county, into the panhandle of Oklahoma, and then extreme southeastern Colorado. All right, and then in that purple shade, you've got winter weather advisories. All right, and then other than that, that's going to be pretty much it. All right, so here we go. All right, we're forecasting this big system coming up. I've been taking a look at the models. I apologize about not uploading yesterday. I've been so busy this week, but finally I can get a chance to update you guys. All right, so we're gonna start out with the GFS model. We're comparing the GFS and the European model. So here's the GFS first. All right, so you can see taking this as February 11th. This is Sunday. There's that first plume of moisture, and notice how we can already see this phase, or the energy that's coming up from the northwest phasing with this plume of moisture in the southeast. That's a good sign, and your setup right now is you've already got a ridge. You can already see the flow of the moisture is moving up like this because it's bumping up on the jet stream, which shows you kind of that the warm air is trying it's ridging up. All right, that's basically what the deal is right here with that. So this is where that storm is going to be moving, and what you'll see is if we get a low farther south, all right, let's say we get a low right here, and it moves like that, that means that we're going to be able to see the colder air start to move down farther south, bringing some snow, heavier totals farther south, if you want to put it that way, all right? So let's take this a little bit more. This is getting a little bit farther into Sunday. This is that severe weather event in the deep south. We're going to be talking about that later. This is your all-out winter storm for northern Texas. It's snowing very heavily, also back into New Mexico and into Colorado. Now, if you're in the warm sector, you're going to be rain, obviously, but it's going to be very heavy at times. Right around Sunday morning, it looks like for you folks down into north central Texas, even into Oklahoma, we may be dealing with a period of extremely heavy wet snow. I mean, I don't know if that's going to accumulate because it's going to be warm out there, and I doubt it for down southwestern Oklahoma, but I definitely think northern Texas, you may end up with a very good amount of snowfall there. That's going to really just be amplified. And so we'll take this out pretty far. We're getting now into Monday, all right? And so this is basically where we see the storm start to take on that negatively tilted look to it. It's still got that severe weather component to it. You can see marked here in the Carolinas. We're talking about very heavy rainfall, which will be in the form of thunderstorms. And you've got snow that's entering portions of Missouri. I mean, you've got a stripe of heavy snow at times. This will be heavy, wet snow with cold air trying to wrap into the backside of that low pressure center. With that in mind, with that happening, all right, you're going to see a lot of that backside rainfall change over to snow. And if you get cold air aloft as well, that's just going to help and raise the chances of higher totals and more snow. All right, so we're continuing into. I think this is Monday. Um, so this is Monday night here. All right, we got 995 millibar low, and you can just see that it's really trying to strengthen here because it's pulling up a lot of moisture from the deep south. It's pulling. You can even see on those isobars these gray blackish lines here. They're moving up towards that low pressure center. That means that it's trying to pull in moisture from the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico, and you got a little bit of snow. I highly doubt it, but you got a little snow showing up there for south central portions of Illinois, maybe even into Indiana. I really doubt it though. All right, but notice how we take this out to Tuesday. Um, this is 1 in the morning on Tuesday here. All right, so this is Monday to Tuesday. This is still a 994 millibar low, but you've got heavy snow for portions of central. I mean, this little stripe here of heavy snow for central Ohio. You guys will struggle with this event. All right, it may deliver a few inches of snow for some areas that may get lucky, maybe even back into Indiana. But I think it's just for areas off to the east. But you can already tell where this low is going to be going. You think it's going to be moving up to the north and east, but I think what we may see is let's take a zonal flow where it's just going to be moving. It's going to be drifting west to east rather than north and northeast, like kind of like that. All right, a lot of storms take that kind of track that goes up to the north and east. That would bring all rain for these coastal regions and all snow, lots of snow, in fact, for the interior northeast. But no, I think this is going to start to drift west to east. And if we see that on the GFS, you're going to see big time total for southern New England. And so here we go. All right, yeah, you can see this actually even gets stronger because, number one, it's still being able to pull up moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, but, excuse me, number two, it's going to be pulling up a lot of moisture and just warm air from the Atlantic, and so this is when this thing just explodes. And we've got like a 989, I believe, millibar low pressure center here. It's snowing like crazy in all places of Pennsylvania. It'd be snowing very hard in Philadelphia, but I mean, northern PA, guys, the hills of Pennsylvania, guys, it's just gonna be snowing insanely hard. If we see this, run of the GFS turn out to be correct. All right, but this is, I believe, 7 in the morning on Wednesday. All right, I think this is Wednesday, guys, and we've got heavy snow starting to impact portions of southern New England. Now this moves in to Long Island, all right, and New York City with just some rain and freezing rain, but you've got heavy snow knocking on your doorstep, and you can see that we've got a cold front that's pushing this the off to the east. But notice how we had that low back here into like Ohio, and we saw that if it would take that regular track, it would just move up into the farther up into the northeast. But no, this actually moves farther south, and so that's going to be interesting to see if we can actually see this low position farther south. We're going to see areas farther south see more snow, obviously. All right, and now we're getting to about 1 p.m. So this is midday. All right, so this is Monday, I believe, and then we're getting into Tuesday here, and I think Wednesday. I don't know if Wednesday's the 14th. I'm not sure. All right, it might be the 13th. But we will definitely see Tuesday into Wednesday some very heavy snow for some areas here in the Northeast. So yeah, this is 7 in the morning on Tuesday. All right, sorry I got that mixed up, but this is 7 in the morning Tuesday, and also you're gonna have high pressure up here into Canada. You can't see it, all right, because it's out of the frame. But there is high pressure that's bogging the storm farther south. So I think the components here are they're lining up pretty well for this to stay farther south, and that's why we're going to see some areas that are kind of new to snow this winter that are going to be the lucky winners. So this is middle of the day on Tuesday. All right, so this is Tuesday, not Wednesday. Sorry about that. Scratch what I said earlier. This is the middle of the day Tuesday, and it's snowing. It's an all-out winter storm out there for southern New England. This would really target Boston and New York City for the biggest, the hardest hit areas. All right, this would really impact you guys with that low just off the coast. All right, but you can see it's still pulling up a lot of warm air. It's just that it's just farther south enough that it can bring snow into the coastal regions. And if this were to play out, which it may be overdone a little bit on the GFS, but if this were to play out, this would be characterized by very wet and heavy snow. All right, this would be, I think there would be big flakes with that snowfall there. All right, and then that just moves on out, and I mean this is gonna be a quick hitting um major winter storm, I think, for some areas. And so that's going to be moving out. And then by Tuesday evening, this is going to be getting even stronger as it gets ready to impact Nova Scotia. All right, and maybe Newfoundland. All right, so that was the GFS model. What about the European model? Well, here it is. All right, let's take this out to when it comes. So there's that plume moisture we were talking about. That's definitely going to be happening. These are your pop-up storms, and you've got your low. All right. Notice how it agrees on somewhat, maybe even some heavy snow, some tiny pockets of heavy snow, maybe some freezing rain, some sleet mixed in there into southern Illinois. I'm not expecting anything major or big coming out of that. All right, but it's taking that same general track as the GFS, but actually a little bit further south, um, which is interesting. But it's also agreeing on the GFS how this will start out as a very weak system. It's a 994 millibar storm. I think that's exactly what the GFS showed. But it wants more snow for southern Indiana. It wants a little bit less snow for Ohio. So those are some differences there. But this is where this gets going here. This is Tuesday morning. All right. And this is going to be when this really just becomes amplified. This time it's moving through Delmarva here. So you may think that if this is moving farther south than the GFS, you're just going to see massive totals in this area. But no, the European model wants the warm air to really get pretty far north. And when you see snow, all right, but if you see snow behind that warm front, guys, all right, that is either not going to happen or that's going to be characterized by like very wet snow, guys. That's not going to be your typical snow, but that's going to be very wet snow. And this is your 32-degree line marked in that purple shade. That is freezing rain, sleet, or just a nasty wintry mix for some areas out there. And this run of the European model does support just rainfall for those coastal regions. But I mean, if you looked at the European last night, and I think the 60 European or the OZ, you can see the European model has been flip flopping between a southerly track, which would bring higher totals here. You can see, I mean, it's kind of the same, but it does bring some snow for those coastal regions. That's the OZ, but now we're back to that northerly track, and so it may start to tick north the GFS, and that's when we would finally start to see our final model agreement. All right, but we take this out into midday Tuesday. All right, let's get this rolling here, and this is it. You got 983 millibar low. That is kind of right where the GFS was showing it. So it kind of, I think it starts out taking a track that's farther south than the GFS initially was showing, and then it moves up and is in line with the GFS. But now it shows on the backside as the cold air influences that precipitation. It wants to dump a lot of snow over portions of southern New England. A lot of snow for Boston, some snow for New York City, maybe even Philly. All right, as this moves out, but Boston would really get hammered by this if this were to play out, and that moves on out. But that's an active run of the European model. They're both showing a strong winter storm. It's just depending on the track of the low pressure, and if it's farther south, you're going to see most likely higher totals and higher totals farther south. If it's farther north, I still think that you're going to see similar totals, but it's obviously going to be shifted farther north. That's how we're working here. So now we look at current projected totals. This is the GFS, guys. The GFS most of the time gets pretty worked up here, especially on the 18Z. So some of these totals may be overdone, but you can see we got a large swath here of a foot plus of snow, and GFS is going for up to 16 inches, which would be over a foot of snow for central and western portions of Pennsylvania. This would definitely prompt winter storm warning. Same thing for northeastern PA, and then I think we just flashed 17 inches, or no, that's 12 inches. So right around a foot here for southern New York State. All right, for New Jersey, all right, you could end up with a foot based off the latest GFS run for northern central portions of New Jersey, getting into Long Island here, going for 9 to 11 inches of snow. So right around a foot of snow, maybe just a little bit less than a foot. So right around 10 inches of snow for all of Long Island, and this would include New York City, going up to southern New England with surrounding areas here. Connecticut, about 10 inches. Rhode Island, though, looks like you may remember, this is a GFS, not a forecast, but I'm just, counting off these numbers because I just want to show what the GFS is showing here. On the GFS, Rhode Island going for a foot of snow. Southern Massachusetts, same totals as Rhode Island, about 12 to 14 inches. Boston going for a little bit less snow on the GFS here. This is 8 to 10 inches. That's still a lot of snow, but 8 to 10 inches. That's going to be different on the European model, and that spreads throughout the rest of Massachusetts, and then down here into Philadelphia, about 11 inches of snow. So yeah, you can see that these totals are very high, and this is where I really just get the most uncertainty. The GFS is going for a foot of snow in southwestern Ohio. I would scratch that. I really think that's overdone. But these totals, this storm has it has the chance to pump out these totals here. This would be the high end amount, I would say, for these areas if you got the southern track, obviously. But for southern Indiana, you could definitely get a few inches of snow off the latest scan of the GFS. Same thing for southern Illinois. But I'm for you guys. I don't want you guys to get your hopes up because I really doubt that you're gonna see much snow from the system. Maybe even no snow at all. All right. Yeah, and you can see the European model completely different. Now, the European model goes for about 4 to 5 inches for New York City and Long Island. Same thing, 2 to 4 inches. But just north of there's your foot. All right for southern New York State, northeastern PA, northern New Jersey, southern New England, about 10 to 12 inches. Boston, actually agreeing with the GFS. I didn't realize that, but Boston going for about 9 inches there. All right, central PA going for about 6 to 8 inches. Western PA going for a little bit less. All right, but the European does actually show these totals rise there into southern Ohio, where we could actually end up with a few inches of snow, but definitely not a foot of snow. That was pretty crazy. But even into Indiana, and then maybe even Illinois, maybe up to 2 to 4 inches. That's, it's a possibility. I just really don't think that we're going to see any major totals down in that area. Here's Kentucky, or actually, sorry, West Virginia. All right, about 4 to 6 inches. So yeah, I think everybody's out here has a pretty good chance of seeing some significant totals. But if I were to put my money on a specific area, I think number one, I think the track that we're gonna see is we're gonna see. I like the European track where we kind of get it like this, and then it moves up like that. I think we're gonna get the highest totals probably in here. All right, I'm pretty much agreeing with the European model. All right, but I think if we see these totals shift farther south due to this low moving farther south, then we'll see areas like New York City and Philadelphia become impacted much more than what the GFS is showing right now. All right, so that's gonna take care of that side of this winter storm. Now we got to talk about the short term. We're looking at the NAM 3-kilometer model because here we go. This is the beginning of the storm. Got to get back down here into Texas. So, excuse me, what you got going on? All right, this is 9 in the morning tomorrow morning. So you're waking up tomorrow morning to thunderstorms stretching across portions of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and back into Texas. You may have some pop-up storms, maybe some strong to severe storms. These really fire up though right around 2 p.m. I think that we could have a few spin up, maybe even a tornado or two, guys. I think isolated severe storms are definitely possible from Texas all the way to Tennessee, like Nashville. All right, because you're definitely inside that warm sector. All right, there's no way that you can have cold air, just affect these storms. And I think that with the amount of moisture that you've got coming into this region, and with the instability, you could end up with a pretty significant severe weather event. All right, and so there's that northwestern energy, and you can start to see this really starts to phase, and you've got strong now. These would be strong to severe storms for sure. This is what is a Sunday night, I guess. Yep. Or sorry, this is late Saturday night. All right, and you've got storms that are really just raging across portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, and then back into Mississippi and Tennessee. That is Saturday night, and then this is getting into Sunday. All right, and you've got heavy snow that's really just it's starting to it's flying across portions of northern Texas. All right, you've got northeastern New Mexico and portions of southwestern Colorado. You would have light to moderate snow for those upper elevations. Multiple feet of snow with this system is definitely possible. There's that low that's moving across central Texas. Sorry about sounding there. All right, and we actually see a small squall line try and form here, and this could actually bring some damaging wind gusts across central Texas. We'll click for sounding here, just to see, what the conditions are. All right, and we're at 51 degrees, so it's actually, I would say it's a little bit chillier for severe storms at this point. All right, but you can see dew points are right in line with that with the temperature there, and that's a good sign for severe storms. So yeah, I would definitely watch out for that, guys. If you're in central Texas, all right, that might even move up into the DFW, and there it is. This really just gets a little bit bigger and stronger as it moves off to the west, or sorry, off to the east. But here it is, northern Texas. This is 4 in the morning on Sunday. All right, you've got an all-out winter storm. This would bring very heavy snow for northern Texas, portions of northeastern New Mexico. This bring a lot of rain and thunderstorms into eastern Texas. This would bring severe storms to DFW. I'm interested to see what happens with you guys in the system before this starts to kind of move out, and it also starts to weaken as we get into late Sunday and then into Monday. But that's a big system that's about to just happen here, and we're gonna see. This is gonna be a quick hitting storm, but we're gonna see some big time totals, I think, into northern Texas, and also a potential severe weather event into eastern Texas and the rest of the deep south. All right. So we look at totals here on your snow totals. This is just insane. But the NAM is going for 2 feet of snow in this north central Texas. I think that's overdone. So what we're gonna do here actually is we're gonna just switch this over to the NAM 3 kilometer model, because I don't agree with that personally. But this is pretty much the same. We're talking about, I think we could actually end up with 2 feet of snow. That's actually crazy. Just to come to realize that, though, you can see right here in this purple stripe. This red stripe. This is well over a foot of snow. Some of these areas that you see with 20 inches of snow. I think it's now possible that you could end up with, at the highest end amount, if you get lucky, if you get if you get the hardest hit area, you could end up with 2 feet of snow. This is a very impactful system based off these totals. This will prompt winter storm warnings. I think if we actually do see totals like this, be pumped out from the system, this is going to definitely cause winter storm warnings to be issued. I apologize if I've been slow with this video. I am very tired right now, so I'm just trying to get this in for you guys. But even into northern Texas, still 2 to 4 inches is possible. Even into southern Oklahoma, NAM is going for some patchy spots of as high as 4 to 6 inches. So interesting to see that. And then for northeastern New Mexico, anywhere from a foot to 2 feet, maybe even 3 feet of snow for those upper elevations and just those regular areas. But yeah, that's going to be a big winter storm, guys. And I think that this will cause big time travel delays. And there's going to be a lot of plows out there. This could even cause power outages. So yeah, please be careful and prepare for this event, because 2 feet of snow is a lot of snow. That's going to cause for school closures, or actually this will be over the weekend. So never mind that. But just stay home, stay inside, stay warm. I don't know if you're watching the Super Bowl. I think it's on Sunday. All right. But yeah, I mean that's definitely going to cause some big time disruptions if we see totals like this come out of this system. All right. So we look at the severe weather side of things. All right. So here it is. This is day one. You've got a marginal risk for that first wave or round of moisture. All right. Next day, it's a marginal risk as well in the central Texas. I think that could get upgraded. That's where we saw that squall line trying to form back down into like Midland and Fort Stockton, Texas. All right. And you can see that's represented in a marginal risk, including Waco, Abilene, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston, Texas. That's also including Lufkin, Texas. All right. That's driven by 2% tornado risk. There's that wind risk, 5%. I think that could get upgraded if we go to a slight risk, which we might not. But if we do, I think that the damaging wind risk will increase. Now, day three, this is where things get a little bit more concerning. Day three, we got a slight risk already. We had a day four slight risk that was out yesterday. This was now shifted to the day three outlook, which we're now up to a slight risk still. And we've got portions of south central Louisiana, Mississippi that cuts through central Louisiana and then into eastern Texas. All right, you've got Lufkin, Texas, you've got Alexandria, Louisiana, and Jackson, Mississippi. All right, I don't know what state. I don't think I said Mississippi for the state, guys. I am so tired. I apologize about that. But south central Mississippi through central Louisiana and eastern Texas. That's that area, guys. You got Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Monroe, Louisiana, Jackson, Mississippi, and Meridian, Mississippi. Now, all right, once we get this to the day two outlook, so by tomorrow we'll be able to get the breakdown of, tornado threat, damaging wind threat, and hail threat. But for now, probabilistically, you've got a 15% chance of seeing severe storms within 25 miles of a point inside this yellow shaded area. All right. Then the day four outlook, you have another 15% risk, which is a slight risk for severe weather already on the day four outlook. So this will be by tomorrow. This will be represented by a slight risk, and this will be including portions of South Carolina, Georgia, and into Alabama. And I think that if we see enough instability and definitely a big enough system, I mean, we could be talking about a multi-day severe weather outbreak, right? If the kinematics line up, if we get enough instability, if the jet stream, the lower level jet, becomes strong enough, it really just depends on a lot of components. We're going to be talking about we're going to be more in depth with that tomorrow, but this is definitely concerning me, and I've been watching this, and I'll be honest with you guys. I got very concerned when I saw another slight risk become issued, and that's a dual slight risk, both 4 days out. I mean, that's something that you don't see a lot, all right? But it's just something that's very concerning. But yeah, I mean, this is just going to be something we're gonna have to watch, obviously, because we've been through severe weather outbreaks during this time of the year. I know it is February, it is midwinter, but I mean, this is definitely something it happens. And I don't want to sit here and say it's going to be an outbreak because we don't know that yet, but I just really do think that something significant is going to be happening, which this is going to be on, this is Sunday and Monday of next week, and then this will be all the way out to Tuesday. This will be Monday into Tuesday when this thing comes to an end, and then day 5, we don't have any risks for severe weather. All right, so we break this down here. We're going to the southeast. There's that first round of storms. Doesn't look too impressive, but you got storms, and then they start to fire up here, and I think this is where we may end up with a line of damaging wind gusts. But first, we'll see that tornado threat ramp up early morning hours of Sunday here. And then here's that second round of moisture with that second low. You actually got a 1,009 millibar low moving with that first plume of moisture. There's that second one coming up behind it. This is what's driving that slight risk. We end the run, which only goes 60 hours out, but we end the run with discrete supercells forming, and this is what's concerning. This may actually end up being a elevated tornado threat that maybe what's driving that slight risk. And if it is, that's not good. All right, and that's shaping up to be intense for portions of Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, maybe even North Carolina and South Carolina. All right, so this is going to be a big weekend ahead of us. We're going to have to talk about this a lot, but yeah, I just don't like what I'm seeing here, and I think that if these storms become discrete, we will see a pretty big tornado event or severe weather event across portions of Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. All right. So, Cape levels, all right, on the NAM, that's that first plume of moisture. Nothing too bad. We're spiking at 1,000 joules per kilogram Cape. But there's that next round, and this one's stronger, but it's much farther south here. It's down by the Gulf Coast where we see the highest levels of Cape that would most likely get as high as 2,000 joules per kilograms. But if you're right by that low pressure center, that's where you could really get high. And I mean, you can see down here this is overseas, but over the Gulf of Mexico, I mean, you have the potential for Cape levels rising to as high as 2,500 joules per kilograms, and that is definitely high enough to really spark some severe storms. But we will see Cape levels continue to rise here for these areas. And the NAM 12-kilometer model doesn't show Cape levels. All right. And if you didn't know, Cape just basically it shows how much juice basically is left for these storms to continue, and how you can have severe storms become formed and then continue to fire across a region. All right. So breaking down what's causing the severe weather event. We're looking at our upper level jet stream here. This is like 35,000 feet in the air. All right. You can see that we've got a very amplified jet stream. There's that tall spiking ridge. And you've got, I mean, upper level winds getting as high as, 180, 190 knots here. And this, I think, is going to be, if we see an increase in these winds down here into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Alabama, that's where that tornado threat could increase. And so we see this as this low tries to take that positively tilted look to it. There you go. I mean, it's a little bit further north, but I mean, it's really shaping down right here for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama for a potentially a big just tornado event. But you've got a northwesterly flow that's moving down to the south here, and then you got that big spiking ridge just because of the system that it's pulling up so much moisture and just trying to take as much in as it can, that it's causing this jet stream to become very strong, and these upper level winds will be ripping out there, which will just increase the impacts from this system. All right, so for the last part of the update, we just take a look at what we can expect going forward. The O0 and the GFS just came out, so as I'm filming this video, so we'll just look at what it's showing for this snowstorm. There it is on the GFS. Shows pretty much the same thing with snow for southern New England and the Northeast. All right, but 18G GFS, there's that first system, moves out. What's behind it? Well, you got another shot of cold air moving down. This will be pretty intense with some strong clippers that could move down from Canada. That's going to be a pattern that we may end up with. But we start to see a Gulf low pop off right here about February the 18th, which is next Sunday. That tries to do something out here in the Carolinas, bring some snow for those upper elevations. But that just brings a washout there for the southeast before moving out. But you see round after round of cold air, cold shots moving in, and then you get another ridge, and that's kind of the pattern that we'll be in for February. But if you get a storm system that meets up with a cold front, that's where you could get snowstorms. And so not really looking at anything major in the next few days. But yeah, it's just going to be pretty much it. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. We'll see you guys in the next video. So I apologize for being so slow. I am closing my eyes so much I cannot stay awake. All right, it's been a long night. All right, I'll continue updating you guys on the system. We'll continue watching the trends here on the models and seeing where that low pressure is forecasted to be. And I'll just let you know. I'll let you guys know any major forecast changes or model run changes that are in the next few days. All right. So thank you all for coming to watch. I'll see you guys in the next video.